There are countless animes out there with a strong and beastly main character, but we aren't looking for strong or merely overpowered. We are on the hunt for actual gods. Welcome to Animeology, where we have some fantastic recommendations for you today. Brilliant animes that you probably haven't heard of, but definitely need to check out. Here is our top 10 list of animes where the MC is an overpowered god. Number 10. Level E. Definitely a lot more light-hearted and comedic compared to some of the other recommendations on this list, but do not fear. Level E is definitely a quality anime, brought to you by the same brilliant mind behind the classic Hunter x Hunter. Level E is a very interesting fusion of comedy and science fiction. It follows the hilarious story of an alien prince that crashes on Earth and starts hanging out with high school students. Slowly, the alien prince learns that he is being targeted by other aliens, and we get this awesome juggling act of the prince trying to survive, maintaining world peace, and remaining undercover. The brilliant alien prince of Dogura has an unbelievably high IQ. His name? Prince Baka. We're not making this up. The series is short and wraps up nicely. A really brilliant sense of humour and some fantastic writing really makes this a fun watch. Our greatest criticism? We want more. Number 9. Panty and Stalking with Garter Belt. Ignore the very weird name, this is a really enjoyable action comedy combination definitely worth trying out. The series has a pretty decent run and the manga is worth sinking your teeth into if the anime isn't enough. We follow the Anarchy sisters, Panty and Stalking. These oddly named MCs are actually angels that have been kicked out of heaven because of their bad behaviour. Forced to live in weird limbo, caught between heaven and hell, surrounded by evil spirits. It's in this strange land that they meet Garter Belt. Under his protection, the two angels use their amazing powers to transform their lingerie into weapons and help them in the fight against these horrifying spirits, trying their best to earn their way back into heaven. Fun, light-hearted, and nothing too serious. Of course, some pretty heavy ecchi, but a really quality watch with some pretty awesome fight scenes. Number 8. Origami. Getting into the more heavy supernatural fantasy, Origami does not shy away from its strong action basis. The series is a bit darker than most but still brings some beautiful character arcs that had us glued to the screen. Starting off with the average middle school student almost dying when attempting to save a stranger from a car accident, our MC starts having these weird out-of-body experiences, starting to see a parallel world. Although not full isekai, the other world is filled with demons and the human soul. The MC teams up with a god, Yato. Yato is trying to make a name for himself and gather followers, accepting the task of fixing the MC. Going through epic adventures, developing an interesting friendship while taking a close look at their pasts, hopes and their dreams. A brilliant backdrop and story that allows for some very interesting and deep characters to come together. Origami is quality writing at its finest. Number 7. Blood Lad. Blood Lad has some seriously wicked comedy. It's funny, but not the usual light-hearted slapstick comedy of errors. This gets seriously dark, with that awesome stylish setting focusing on vampires and some very cool action. Blood Lad is set in a strange demon world and follows a young vampire that meets up with a normal Japanese high school girl that accidentally stumbles into his world through a mysterious portal. The poor girl dies almost immediately and is turned into a ghost. The vampire vows to bring her back to life. Stas is one of the most interesting MCs you'll encounter, a seriously powerful vampire boss, but totally unlike any other in his world. As opposed to preying on humans, he prefers living life as an otaku, reading manga, watching animes, and playing video games. Combine this lovable MC with the really interesting chemistry of a normal Japanese schoolgirl, and this epic journey to try to bring her back to life, you've got a one-in-a-million anime that is a must-watch. Number 6. Big Order. The world of Big Order is filled with these Order users. These people have the ability to grant wishes using their special powers. The MC, Ijai, is responsible for one of the most horrific events on the planet, the Great Destruction, and has refused to use his power since then. It's been 10 years since the Great Destruction and since Ijai has used his powers, but a new transfer student kidnaps his sister and Ijai is forced back into using his special powers to try and save her. The Big Order masterfully dances around what exactly happens during the Big Destruction and what Ijai had to do with it. We won't spoil anything, but you soon realise the sheer level of power that the MC has. A very interesting watch that manages to bring in some interesting romance elements. Otherwise, the overarching story and world lore make the Big Order worth checking out. Number 5. The World God Only Knows. Although this may sound like a super heavy series, don't worry, it's actually a really fun supernatural romantic comedy with some half-decent fight scenes and one of the tastiest harems we've seen in a while. We follow a nerdy high school with a weakness for dirty video games. In real life, he's a bit of a nerd and a nobody until he receives an invite for a new game. However, a cute demon from hell appears and tells our hero that a great evil is feeding off the other cute demons and destroying them. The only way our hero can save the day, by making these cute demon girls fall in love with him. If anything, our hero has been preparing for this day all his life. The story gets increasingly more ridiculous, but at its base, there is a really wholesome core set of characters that brings something really fresh to a stale harem scene. Number 4. Gologo 13. Now, Gologo 13 is a brilliant series. Many of you probably haven't heard of it, but the real anime fanatics should instantly recognize the name. This is the oldest manga in publication and has spawned films, games, and won countless awards. A really fantastic thriller that follows Duke Togo, a professional assassin, one of the coolest MCs we've ever come across, really. No one has any idea about him, who he is, where does he come from, a very quiet and reserved killer, only speaking when necessary, little emotion and will kill effortlessly. It's so hard to come across such a cool and interesting MC, especially without him having to rely on magical powers or insane mechs. The manga has been running since 1968 and has seen some of the biggest names in the industry guest writing story arcs. Check out the anime, you will not regret it. And when you want more, well, there's more than 40 years of content for you to get through. Number 3. The Melancholy of Haru Suramiya. A very strange but quirky and fun anime that follows the story of the high school friends of Haruhi Tsuramiya, a really young and exciting high school girl that likes to get up to all kinds of crazy things. Nowhere near as heavy as some of the other recommendations we have for you, this anime is not shy and really pushes the boundary of many of its story arcs. You'll be meeting time travelers to aliens to powerful ESP gods, but none are a match for Haruhi, closely watched over because she actually has the unconscious ability to destroy the universe and make a new one. Something she is willing to do if she were ever to get bored or stop being interested in this universe. Yep, that is actually the power of God. The best part, Haruhi has no idea she has this insane level of power. The series is mainly her tight group of friends trying their best to keep her entertained and excited. This is a really light series that takes viewers on a really wild and crazy ride. Number 2. The Daily Life of an Immortal King. This anime takes a very interesting look at what it means to have an insanely overpowered main character. Although many anime loves to put in a ridiculously strong MC, The Daily Life goes one step further and spins a really intimate and interesting slice of life with that. We meet Wang Ling, an absolute genius that has been changing the world since he was a baby. Seriously, like since the age of 1, Wang Ling has been living a nearly invincible existence and gained a real reputation for himself. The series starts off with Wang Ling at the age of 16 and beginning his time in senior high school, something he considers his greatest battle yet. Although physically and mentally Wang Ling might be far superior, when it comes to socializing in high school life, we discovered that the MC isn't truly the overpowered god you thought he was. A good sense of humour complements the series nicely, a very interesting cast of characters that are extremely lovable and vital to the story. A pretty fun slice of life adventure that brings a new spin to the fantasy and high school setting. And number 1, Campion.
バルスタル降臨を遠く運べ待てよ避けろ
This is a really epic series that has some really intense fantasy-based fight scenes. The moments in between are really enjoyable as well, bringing some enjoyable romance with believable and complex harem relationships. We follow Gondu Kunasagi, a high-performing middle school baseball player that was forced into early retirement due to an injury. One day, he encounters the god of war that threatens him. Never backing down, Godu fights and slays him, becoming the Campion, the God Slayer. Now tasked with the epic responsibility of fighting gods that are changing things greedily or as they see fit, Godu needs to keep these gods in check and make sure they don't get out of line. Unfortunately, such a brave and powerful warrior has many issues. One of the biggest problems, his status and strengths keep attracting the attention of many beautiful women. A really great watch that you need to check out, insane action and battles between gods and god slayers. And the time in between is spent with a beautiful harem and some very interesting relationship dynamics. You do not want to miss out on Campion.